How often have we heard that phrase? You probably, as parents, maybe you said it to your children, or your parents said it to you when you were growing up. If only you'd listened to me, this would never have happened. And I think that's probably, if, again, the prophet Isaiah is putting those words in God's mouth when he's frustrated with his people, the chosen people. And what do? They didn't listen to him. And then, of course, the kingdom collapsed. Jerusalem was destroyed. The children were put into exile. And it is Jesus who is the longed for Savior, the Messiah. But in one of the passages that you're going to hear during this season of Advent, Jesus is very frustrated. Remember, he says essentially, we played you a song you did not dance. We sang you a dirge you did not weep. And he's talking about the people of the Jewish people. They weren't happy with John. They complained about John, that he was odd. And John was separate from the people. He preached, as we're going to hear this week on the second Sunday, preached that message. And it was, John is described as, living on locusts and honey. And that's a great image. If you listen to those words, for the people of Africa, locust represents destruction. Locusts come in and they eat everything, the crops, and destroy it. But honey is seen as, a land flowing of milk and honey. Those are great images of, and Jesus is saying, look, you didn't like what John said. You didn't like what I said. John separated from the people, Jesus with the people, going to the wedding reception, being with them, eating with them. But those images, again, what do people want? Life is about locusts, which at times is difficulty, and it's about honey, which is great blessings. We can't escape that. But again, in that theme, we're listening. What in our lives do we expect of God? What do we want of God? It's been said that controversy always dredges up the highest virtue and the lowest vice. And we see that even in the church. But when we listen to God, we do so freely. God does not force us to believe in him by any means. It's all a gift, and faith calls us to that. The response to God is always free. He respects our freedom too much. And he won't force people to believe in him. But the way I think our belief can be strengthened, if we do in fact listen, and we ask ourselves, who are we? Are we people that we never think that God does what we ask of him? But our freedom is sacred to God. We are the only creatures that can say no to God, and we're the only creatures who can say yes to God. So again, in those readings that you will hear in these 4 weeks of Advent, in your heart and in your mind, and listen to the words that the prophet speaks, and listen to Jesus's words or John's words, calling people to listen to God. So it's twofold. You listen to the scriptures, and you read the scriptures, you pray the scriptures, and see the theme of listening.